Hey, and welcome to English with Boudj. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell for new notification for new videos. Last video, we talked about tenses, the three types of tenses. So today we are going to talk about simple present. First, we need to know about the timeline. So the timeline is represented by an arrow that um, contains the past, the present, and the future. So the present is always correct through all this arrow. So we find it in the past. We can say present phrases in the present, of course, and in the future too. It remains always true and correct. For example, when we say the rain falls, so the rain falls, it is always falling. Like it was falling in the past and it is falling now and it can fall in the future. To get to start to study any tense, we need to know about three things. First, we need to know about what is it made of. Then we need to talk about what is it used for. And finally, we need to know about the question and the negative. So the present consists of the verb in its infinitive form with an S or without S. We are going to explain that. Like we need to go through them all and then I will um, explain each and every one of them. Second of all, the present is used to describe hobbies and the daily routine, facts and dates. I'm going to explain that. When it comes to the question and the negative, we use the auxiliary verb. First, we need to know about this. Verbs, whether regular or irregular, have three forms, often called principal parts. These forms are the infinitive, the past and past participle, and the difference between a regular and an irregular verb is the formation of the simple past and the past participle. First of all, let us talk about the consistence of the present. I mean, what is it made of? So, as I explained before, the present is an infinitive plus an S or without S. To explain this an S or without S, we need to go through the personal pronouns um, she and he and it. So in the present, always when you see she or he or it, you add an S at the end of the verb. If you don't know about the personal pronouns, they are I, you, he or she, it, we, and finally they. So always when you see he, she, or it, you add an S at the end of the verb. For example, I run, there is no S. You run, we run, they run. There is always no S at the end of the verb. But she runs, he runs, it runs. As you can see, there is an S always at the end of the verb. Second of all, if you want to know about the present tense, the simple present tense, you need to know what is it used for. Like when do you use it, like talking English or right in it. Number one, the daily routine and the hobbies. So you can talk about what did you do or what are you doing in your day with the present tense, with the simple present. Like you can describe um from the point where you were like sleeping to the point that you arrived home again. For example, you say, I wake up at 6, I take a shower, I drink my coffee, I go with the bus to work, and then I return home and take a shower and sleep again. So, as you can see, you can describe your daily routine with the present tense, with the simple present tense. Also, it is the same with hobbies. For example, you can say, I play soccer every day, like it's an hobby. Second of all, you can use the simple present talking about facts. Let me give you an example. So, if we say um, the rain falls, it is a fact that the rain falls. Another example. So, the earth turns around the sun. So it is a fact. So we you can say it with the simple present. Finally, we can talk about dates using the simple present. For example, you can say the meeting starts at 6 p.m. So as you can see, starts, it is in the simple present, conjugated in the simple present. Now we are going to explain using the auxiliary verb do to write down a question or a confirmation. First, as a note, you need to know about the auxiliary verbs. So the auxiliary verbs are the verbs be, do, have, and will when they are followed by another verb, infinitive verb, in order to form a question, a negative sentence, a compound tense, or the passive form. Today, we are going to talk about the question and the negative sentence. Let us start with the negative form and the confirmation. An example, I like to play soccer. If we needed to write down a confirmation, we use the auxiliary verb do, so we say, I do like to play soccer. In the contrary, if we need to talk about or to write down a negative form, we also use the auxiliary verb do, so we say, I do not like to play soccer. So we add the word not to the verb. I mean, after the verb. Now we go to the special example. So let us say, I am with my parents. So the negative form is I do not am with my parents. That's incorrect because we have the auxiliary verb do and the auxiliary verb am, which is the verb to be. And we cannot have two auxiliary verbs in the same sentence. So the correct form of the negative form is I am not with my parents. Am is the verb to be, so it is an auxiliary verb. So in this particular example, we use the verb to be, which is am, to write down the negative form. Now we are going to talk about the question. The example is I like to play soccer. As we said before, the confirmation, when you need to confirm that like you do play soccer, you say I do like to play soccer. The verb to do confirms your sentence. Now, if you needed to write down the question or to say the question, you say, do I like to play soccer? And you add the question mark at the end. So you just need to switch between do and I. Now, let's do the special example. He plays soccer. The question, do he plays soccer? So it is wrong to say, do he plays soccer? We observe that we have the personal pronoun he now. So we have an S at the end of the verb. The correct question is, does he play soccer? So do becomes does because we have the personal pronoun he. So we do the same if we have also she or it, because we always, as we said before, we always add an s at the end of the verb if we have he or she or it. That's why when it comes to the question, or when we are going to say the question and we have he or she or it, we say does.